Hi, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're going to take a look at the Kershaw Entropy Todd Rexford design, assisted knife, very good size for EDCing, and I'm quite fond of it actually. If you want to take a gander at this thing in more detail, stick around. We'll go to the desktop view and we'll take a good look at the Kershaw Ripple. The Kershaw Ripple, the Kershaw Entropy. I haven't got a clue where the ripple came from. I'm going to look ripple up on the internet and see if there's a Kershaw Ripple. Who knows? Stick around. Thanks. Okay, friends, thanks for stopping by and sticking with us. We're taking a look at the Entropy, not the Ripple. The Ripple's a totally different knife by CRKT, different designer. Ken Onion's a good designer, but we're looking at Todd Rexford's Entropy, and the Entropy is a knife that I have come to like an awful lot. I bought it in June through knifeworks.com, and so I've been playing with this knife for a while. It is now the beginning or middle, close to the, it's getting into October quite a bit. It was cold this morning when I walked the dog, but I made it, and now I'm ready to share this knife with you. So what do we have? We've got, I'm calling this a flat grind. I know that everybody else online, or a lot of people are calling it a hollow grind. A lot of websites and sellers are calling it a hollow grind, and I just don't think that it is. I've put a flat surface right next to the blade like this, and there's no light to be seen through there. It's just, you know, it's a flat grind. It's not a full flat grind, but it's a nice flat grind on a piece of stock that's an eighth of an inch thick. That's 3 1/4 millimeters. We've got a nice swedge across the top here to make it look slimmer and sharper, but it does that kind of thing with your eye where it starts off thin and gets thick and then goes thin again, just because of that swedge. The swedge ends, you know, right there. It's kind of cool looking, actually. We've got lots of belly on this blade and a little bit of flat zone back here, and the knife cuts really, really well. Before we get to the cut tests, let me give you some more of the specs. We've got 8 CR13 MOV, hardened to about 57 Rockwell hardness. We've got a stonewash on the flat grind. The cutting edge is 3 1/4. The tip of the blade to the handle is 3 1/8, so it's actually shorter than the cutting edge. It's a nice design. The blade and the handle suit each other really well. Not all knives do. The action on this knife is assisted. So we've got, you know, a spring in there to help the blade come flying out. I can close it with one hand. I just prefer not to. We've got open pillar construction with a nice orange pop of color back here, 2 pillars back here, and then you've got your pivot, and that's about it. And easy to clean out. Liner lock, and the liner lock is just, for me, that's just a tiny bit early, but not bad at all. It's almost perfect, what I like to see. We've got the knife have an, you know, it flows very well and then comes up to the handle here, making it a knife that's very good for security. If you get stabby, it's not going to slip out of your hands very easily. The GFRN isn't the most grippy material, but Todd Rexford's done a great job of putting a texture on here that works and looks good. So we've got this tiny cross pattern on it, like horizontal and vertical lines, and then we've got these raised vertical ridges, and on this chamfer here we've got these square kind of raised dots on both sides. You know, both sides are a mirror image of each other. It's really good. The handle itself, the full size of the handle is, I think maybe I forgot to measure the size of the handle. The handle itself is 4.5 inches long. That is 11.5 centimeters. Really good size. I wear a large size glove. I got a large hand, and it fits my hand very, very well, almost perfectly. It's grippy. It feels good in the hand. Good texture. Very secure. I've done a little bit of hard cutting with it. There's no real hot spots. If I hold it a little bit too long with a tight grip, this little tip of the clip does get a little bit warm here, but not a real problem at all. And it works even better in my left hand, just because my fingers lock over that. It actually gives me better purchase with the clip on the right side in my left hand. I found that so often that right-handed knives fit very well in my left hand. I don't know if you other lefties have had that same experience. It's not the best for the pocket, but in the hand, I really like that. But you can move it over for your left side pocket, no problem. Really deep carry pocket clip. It's got a sort of that stonewashed look as well. Kershaw's name on it. It rides really deep in your pocket. Very comfortable. It's a fairly light knife compared to what I generally collect. This guy's only 3.7 ounces. That's 106 grams. It's uses Torx construction everywhere, so you can easily take this knife apart yourself. No problem with that. And that's about all the specs. How much does this knife cost? Well, this knife at Kershaw, you'd be paying $40 US, but you can find it in most places in US online stores between $23 and $25. That's a very common price range. And the lowest price I found, again, is HR Knives. And shipping from them is usually around $6 for a knife into the US, and that's not bad at all. HR Knives is owned by a veteran. I'm not sure exactly what arm of the military he was in, but some of you guys really like to support veterans, and that's a good way to do it. In Canada, we're looking at around $39 from Warriors and Wonders, and Amazon is like $55. So, and those are Canadian dollars. So if you want to get it shipped quickly without crossing the border, you're probably going to go to Warriors and Wonders to get this knife. I think I've covered all of the details of the sort of specs. Now let's talk about how it feels. This knife just feels good. It is, I told you about how I was doing some hard work with it. It feels really good in the hand. It's got a styling that looks really good. It's not a knife to take out in public too quickly because it looks very stabby. People get scared of stabby looking blades. Although it's not, exceedingly huge, being, just a bit over 3 inches of knife. Well, the whole thing altogether is, what is it? What did I say? 7.5 inches, which is right around 19.5 centimeters. It's not a huge knife, but it's big enough to be a primary EDC, and it functions well enough. Let's do some of the cutting tests. 4 layers of paracord here. No problem at all. The paracord is, I'll just use 2 of them here. It's easy enough to cut through on a table if you're cutting something that way. Let's try some thicker cabling. This is from a, what is this wire from? This wire is from a gaming controller, I think from an Xbox. So you can see there's a fair bit of metal that it went through, and then there's some more wiring in the middle. So that's not bad at all to cut through that stuff easily. And we've got some webbing. This is 1-inch wide webbing, not terribly thick, but you can see that it cuts through this stuff really well, if you're focused, that is. I keep looking up at the camera and missing some of my shots. and then I cut wrong. So it cuts good, it looks good, it feels good. If I had nothing else to say, this would be, for its price, a 5 out of 5. It'd be a definite recommend. But I've faced one problem with it. When I first got it, my finger would slip on the flipper actuator. I would often just sort of have my finger flip off, and it would just feel really tight. And that time I just barely actuated it, and the spring wasn't tough enough to lock the blade. So there's something going on with the action in here. I've oiled it up. I haven't taken it apart, but you can see some of the oil on there. I've used a really light oil to try to free up the action. I've opened and closed it a number of times to try to get it to work itself in, and it feels really smooth. There's no grinding. There's nothing that feels like there's a spot where it's tighter than other spots. It just isn't super smooth and slick all the time. Sometimes, like that time, it opens great, and then this time, oh, sorry, I hit the camera, it didn't open quite as well. So you have to be focused and do that, load up the pressure on it and flick it. The the light switch kind of move to try to actuate it doesn't always work. And so I don't know if it's just mine that is not quite as functional as it should be. If you've got an Entropy, please let me know in the comments below how it feels for you, if it opens properly, consistently, or if you've had the same kind of issue or not. I'd really like to hear that from you guys. Otherwise, like I said, this thing's a definite recommend. A really good knife. It feels good. It looks good. It's unique. It's sharp. Not only in the cutting edge, it's a sharp looking knife. It looks very stabby. A lot of people are attracted to that style of knife. It's got a nice belly on it. There's just so many good things about this knife. I'd probably like G10 instead of glass-filled nylon. That would add a little bit of weight to the knife too, and right now it's a nice lightweight, even though they didn't skeletonize the handle scales. But I think they could have used this exact pattern on G10 and skeletonized it a bit, and they would have come in at the same weight. So hopefully Kershaw's listening, and they might put that option out in the future. Hopefully sales on this knife are really good. If you like the video, please click on like down in the lower right hand corner. Share it with somebody in the lower left hand corner, and down in the middle there you can either hit more for some information and some links on where you can buy this. A link to HR Knives and to Warriors and Wonders will be down there. And please share any comments, questions you have, any discussion you want to have that relates to the this Kershaw knife. Cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all of the subscriptions. Stay safe out there, guys. Bye now.